no pain meds because I'm in recovery and my biggest fear is relapse. And
Right.
you knew my surgeon, Dr. Frank from the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest concern when we talked about this surgery, my rotator cuff daddy, I'm going to call you just by the name. I love that name. My rotator cuff was 70% torn when I finally went to see him. And he said, "What took you so long?" And I told him, "I'm like, I'm in recovery and I'm really worried about a relapse." And he's like, "That's it?" Oh, and I'm like, "No, no, no. That's it." And he goes, "I don't mean that, Sully. I mean that. Don't worry about that part. I'll put a nerve block in your neck. We'll get you through the first 4 days. And then after that, it's just going to have to be Tylenol and Advil and ibuprofen." And that's what really had Sharif and I starting to talk, because he's discussed what he does in his profession that really engaged me. Because look, there are so many stories on the opioid crisis, and there's a Netflix series and there's a Hulu series on the Sackler family and the Sackler family. And, that's very close to my heart, because when you're in recovery, there's either two ways to go through life. Either you're sober or you die. That's it. Like, it's that black and white for me. And to hear your approach, Sharif, is really what intrigued me to continue the conversation on the plane.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I mean, I've had that in my practice too. Like, you get like patients who are just deadly scared of taking Norco, and it's kind of like hits home, and you're kind of like, oh man, like I definitely don't want these people to get relapse because of me. But, a lot of this opioid crisis stuff we deal with on a daily basis. But I think it's helped us all as doctors. Like, I rarely give narcotics. I give people like a few pills, and I don't even like doing that. And sure. I always tell them, like, look, in other countries, you get a shoulder replacement, all they give you is Tylenol, and they do fine. You don't need this shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's legit how Sharif and I started talking, and that was it. It was just hanging out, and good people meet good people. I'm a big believer of that.
Oh, you're very sweet. And, we can jump into this because I think this is such an important topic. I mean, and we joke around and fuck around on our podcast quite a bit, but
Sure.
I really do think that this is a real conversation because nobody wants to talk about it. And so we make, like you said, a Hulu and a Netflix, and we want to entertain you about having this conversation, but fuck that. Let's have a real conversation and say that what has happened over the last 15 to 20 years is bad, and have people take responsibility for it, which unfortunately they claimed bankruptcy. They're not bankrupt, let's be honest, the Sackler family, but we need to do better. And the unfortunate thing is, I went to Capitol Hill and stumped there and lobbied to try to get the No Pain Act approved, which is to help people. It's not to hurt people. And when it got approved, and I posted some stuff on my social media, I was getting threats on it that are still there. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about. My life is all about pain. And what they don't understand, and it's because of we're not educating people and we're not helping these people by giving them more meds. We need to pull them aside and say, hey, look, we have a lot of ways to help you. And you're a perfect example of that, how many people you've helped. And it's just, we got to do better at educating. Period.
The best thing now is when athletes who have a big platform are very open and willing to talk about not only where they are now, but like the dark days, right? Mm-hmm. You and I talked about my buddy Ryan and Ryan Leaf, and his story is outstanding, right? He had to go to jail he had to go to prison to get sober. And ever since he's come out and he has his own show and he has his own talk, he was just on the Dan Patrick show yesterday morning, and they talk about football and they talk about the people coming up and everything that he's doing with his life. And then they also talk about, hey, when you were in these moments, how did you do this and how did you do that? And he's like, I had to be willing to finally take some directions from a stranger, follow some guidance. Me, I'm a 12-step guy, right? Now that's, press, radio, and films. I'm very careful with the tradition, but I'm a 12-step guy. That's what saved my life. Now, what I do in my professional field, if some people don't want to do a 12-step program, fine. Well, how do I help you stay clean and sober today? How do we stay away from a drink and a drug today if you don't want to do a 12-step program? Do you want to go to church? Do you want to get into the Bible? Do you want to do refuge recovery? Do you want to do Buddhism? Like, you tell me and I'll meet you there. And that's the biggest thing is I try to be open and transparent with people, because for me, trust is the biggest thing that I have in any relationship. And especially with the guys in the circle that I run with, everybody's always trying to get something from I work with pro athletes, coaches, and CEOs for a living. and everybody's always trying to get something from them. Hey, can you get me tickets? Hey, can you get me a stick? Hey, can you sign me a jersey? Fuck it, get the fuck out of here. No. How about, hey man, what's going on? Because Cuff Daddy, you might not know this, but when I float around in these environments, it always starts with, who's that? Oh, that's just Sully. No, but who's that? Oh, don't worry about it. That's just Sully. And then they see me around, and then it trickles out organically why I'm around. And what that leads to is, hey, Sully, you got a minute? I'm like, yeah, what's up? I can't stop doing cocaine. Oh, cool, man. He's like, no, you don't understand. I can't stop doing cocaine. I'm like, no, I heard you, but now I can help you, right? Because now the trust is there. They see me around. They don't say anything. I see a lot. I say little in my environments. And those conversations to me is worth everything in what I do for a living.
And your engagement with me, even, I mean, I can see that I could have known you 5 minutes. And if I had a problem and you said what you said, I could have opened up to you immediately and said, you know what, Sully, I need your help. I need what you can offer me. And I think, like you said, there's certain people are brought into your life for certain reasons. And, you know, for me and you to meet, I don't know. I think we have yet to figure out why we met, but sure. I'm glad we did. Mm-hmm. And more importantly, it's like that connection was immediate. And I'm looking at Cuff Daddy because I've done enough of these episodes to see his face. He's like, this dude, you're engaged, right, Cuff Daddy?
I'm engaged, but it's funny because he's saying like he's coming into our life at the right time, and I didn't know. Honestly, I'll be honest. I didn't know what you did until like a couple days ago, and when I looked it up for the show. But I told Sharif the other day that I'm like sober curious, and I'm trying to give up drinking, and like it's been 2 weeks, and I'm gonna like completely give it up for 6 months, and then my wife and daughter are like, why don't you just forever? And I'm like, oh, you know, that kind of intrigues me to be able to stop. You know, just even.
All right, hold on.
Let's get rid of it.
Fuck that. Let's tap into that statement. Sober curious, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We don't have to get so deep because it's a podcast, but let's come on, let's dive into that. What does sober curious look like for you?
Like, I kind of want to give up drinking. Like, I like drinking and I like having fun, but then like what Sharif said is like, sometimes, you know, like when you start to realize like, why am I drinking on the weekends? Like, yeah, I had a hard week. And then like, you start to think like, wait, am I using this? Like, is this my coping mechanism? Cause that's bad. I don't want drinking to be my coping mechanism, or am I having fun? And then you'll get drunk on the weekend. And then you'll be like, wait, this isn't that fun. I'm too old for this shit. You know what I mean?
Okay. I do, but then there's another question is why 6 months?
Oh, because that's the longest I've ever gone. I went 1 year. I went 6 months. And it was awesome. It was awesome.
You're just like, fuck it, I'm not drinking anymore?
Yeah, just to get healthy, you know, because it's not healthy. Let's be honest, right? We're all doctors. Everyone has their vices, and nobody's like has like the purest lifestyle, right? So I try to be healthy. I'm vegan. I'm plant based, but you know, I go out and I'm fun, and I people around me like drink, so I like to drink. But then I kind of want to be like, no, I don't want to drink. But you know, I'll be honest, and my wife knows this too. Is like it's hard, you know, like if people who don't drink, like we have some Mormon friends too that hang out with you, but like. It depends. Like you feel weird not having a drink in your hand.
Hold on. Bingo. Do you know how hard it is to like go out and what do I do with these fucking things?
Yeah. When you're out. So then you're like, all right, fuck it. And then you just, you know, you drink.
You're like putting them in your pocket. You're like, hey.
I don't smoke, right? I mean, you could smoke.
That's a legit thing. Yeah, that's a legit thing. What the fuck do I do with these when I'm out?
Why, is that a common thing? Is that what people say?
Yeah, that's one of there's multiple things. And I'm glad that, look, let's dive in. Here's a challenge for you. Fuck the 6 months. Just don't drink today. That's it. Just don't drink today.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Easy.
You're almost through today, right? What is it? 10:30 your time almost?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
it's not hard the first couple of months. It's that third month, that fourth month. And then what really kicks it is like when I go out, because I go out a lot, right? And then you're like, fuck, everyone's drinking. And then you're there just like not.
But you actually bring something interesting up, because if you go, so I just had this great dinner here in Memphis before I came on the podcast, and the first thing they fucking hand you is the wine list. Here's a cocktail list. Here's da 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 da. It's like it is part of the meal, And so when you say, you know what, no, thank you, I don't want the wine list, I don't want the cocktail, they already are like, well, okay, so there's half my tip. So it's ingrained to fire this at you, and it's part of it. And if you don't drink it, then what's wrong with you? And that's the problem.
Well, that's not the problem. That's in your head.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Like, I want to touch on what Cuff Daddy said. Yeah, you're out, you're hanging out, everybody's drinking. What am I doing? By the way, only people like me, I'll speak for myself. When I go out, and I used to be, when I was newly sober, trying to figure out what to do, and everybody, when they're newly sober, we just start firing down Red Bulls because you legit don't know what to fucking do. Oh, hey, yeah, give me a Red Bull. Next thing you know, you're like 7 Red Bulls deep, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta get out of here. But you're sober, right? So
yeah.
But the other thing is, no one realizes that I'm not drinking. Nobody. They're too busy doing their own fucking thing and their own drinking. They don't even notice I'm not drinking unless I tell them, no, man, not tonight. I'm not drinking. It's all in my head when I would go out and be like, oh my God, they know I'm not drinking. They don't give a shit about me. They're in their own world. When I go out, legit, I'm the alien. I'm the alien of the group. Sully, why aren't you drinking? Nah, not tonight. Because I'm driving, right? That's the easy one. Oh, I'm driving. Then people are like, oh, don't worry about it. You're going to, no, man, I don't want to blow up my career tonight. I'm just not. It's a lot easier for me to tell people now. I'm 14 years, 9 months sober. So I know how to handle myself, and I go to the same spots. And we just came back from Fleming's, and the bartender's a good friend of mine. And we do espresso shots because he knows I love espresso. And then he puts a Pellegrino in front of me. Like, I've been in enough situations that's for me. And then when I was new, I always went to get my own drink, Cuff Daddy. I always went and got my own drink. Hey, you want something to drink? No, that's right. I'll go get it. And then I go get a Pellegrino or a tonic water or a Diet Coke. And that handles this. Oh, now I got this in my hand. Okay. Now I can just function. Because it is, I love that you said that, because people don't realize when you're drinking and you don't have a problem, you're just like, yeah, man, I got something. You stop drinking, you're like, what do I do with I said it, what do I do with these fucking things?
Yeah, that's why smokers can't quit smoking. So I always tell them, like, get sunflower seeds, and then they get that like little thing that they do with the seeds, and then it feels like they're smoking.
I actually tell patients like that are trying to quit before a surgery, I said, do me a favor. I want you to go outside every time you want a cigarette, but don't light a cigarette. Just take the deep breaths, because what you're doing smoking is a breathing exercise. You're taking big, deep breaths and you're blowing out. The only difference now is you're not putting nicotine in. And I've had a few come back. I mean, I'm not batting 1,000, but I've had a bunch come back and they'll say, you know what, my anxiety's down, but I'm not smoking. And that actually worked. Well, no shit, because it's a breathing exercise.
Yeah. The box breathing I tell people do all the time.
Yeah.